Hola, welcome to lesson number 2. On this lesson, we're going to look into greetings and first words so you can start using the language and start introducing yourself to people and getting more comfortable with the language. The first thing we're going to do is learning how to say yes or no. Yes is a simple sí. No is also a simple no. Sí, no. One thing to keep in mind, when you see the word SI with just the dot, that means if. In Spanish, the if and the yes are both sí. The only difference is on the I. If you see here, if the I has a little tilde, right, the little line to the right, that means it's yes. If it only has a dot, it's if. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind when you are reading it. But when you're talking, whether you're saying yes or if, it doesn't change. All right, let's take a look at the first words. So we have here hello, hola, hola. Now repeat after me, hola. Remember, from the lesson on the alphabet, the H is always silent. So we only pronounce the O, the letter that follows it. Very well, let's go to our next is how are you? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? Right? You meet someone, you say, how are you? ¿Cómo estás? Now we also have a formal and informal in Spanish. It's one of those languages that when you are addressing someone you do not know and is older or has a higher, let's say, title than you, if you're at work, you might meet the president or the CEO of your company, then you would want to say, ¿Cómo está? Okay? You don't say, ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás is what you say to friends, family, or younger people. But when you meet someone in a professional setting or someone that you do not know and who is older, you would want to say, ¿Cómo está? Because it's paying respect that you don't know them. Next, we have, how's it going? So this is a more familiar or, easygoing way of saying, ¿Cómo está? ¿Cómo te va? ¿Cómo te va? So you say it to friends, that people that you know, ¿Cómo te va? Okay, what else can you say? Thank you. Gracias. Gracias. Okay, and what I've done also is I've made the letter where you emphasize the accent with the darker color, okay? Gracias, on that syllable. So it's easier for you to read it. You are welcome. De nada. De nada. De nada. Next, what's up? This is obviously you say to friends, what's up? ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué tal? What's up? A very informal way of greeting someone or, asking how they're doing. Next, we have, it's a pleasure to meet you. Now, it's a pleasure to meet you is quite a long sentence in English. In Spanish, you can just say, encantado conocerte. Encantado is it's a pleasure. Conocerte, to meet you. Now, because I'm a man, I say encantado, the ending with the O. But if you're a woman and you are saying it's a pleasure to meet you, you have to say encantada, because Spanish has genders. There's a masculine gender and a feminine gender. So in examples that you're talking about yourself, you would say encantado, meeting someone, or encantada. We will take a look at genders a bit later on another lesson. Very well, it's a pleasure. If you just want to say it's a pleasure, without saying it's a pleasure to meet you, you can just say mucho gusto. Mucho gusto. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to see you. So now you're being a bit more specific because you're happy to see them. Es un placer verte. Es un placer verte. Okay? It's a pleasure to see you. When you're happy to see someone. Now let's take a look at some greetings. Look at the morning. Good morning. Buenos días. Buenos días. Okay? Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. You notice that the buenos from the morning changed to the buenas in the afternoon. And the reason why is because morning, buen día, is a masculine and afternoon is a feminine. Tarde, afternoon, is a feminine. So you have to say buenas tardes. This also happens when you say good evening or good night. Buenas noches. Buenas noches. Now, in Spanish, there's no difference between saying good evening, like in the early part of the evening, or saying good night when you go to sleep. Is always the same. Okay, so that makes it easier for you just to remember buenas noches means both good evening and good night. Okay, next, let's take a look at welcome. When you go into a restaurant and you are being welcomed into the restaurant, you'll say bienvenido if you're a man, or bienvenida if you're a woman. And if you're a group of people, they would just say bienvenidos, the plural form, okay? But it's bienvenido or bienvenida. Next, we have and, okay? Remember, in the lesson on the alphabet, we talked about the Y has a y sound, and is when you're spelling it, you say Y. But when you just see it as and, like the equivalent of what in English is and, is just I, like the letter I. It's the same pronunciation. So, tú y yo, you and I. So, I, very simple to remember, and. Next, we're gonna look at some introductions. You meet someone, obviously the first thing you would say is, what is your name? ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? Remember, double L is a ya sound. So, ¿cómo te llamas? What is your name? If you meet someone who you don't know, or who it's in a formal setting, like we said, like earlier, I said, how are you? You would say, ¿Cómo se llama? That's the difference, okay? ¿Cómo se llama? If you want to say, what's your name, or ask what's your name to someone you know, ¿Cómo te llamas? If you want to ask the name to someone in a polite way, you must say, ¿Cómo se llama? All right? Next, my name is. Me llamo. And then you say your name. Me llamo Javier. Okay? So you would say me llamo for my name is. Next, we have I am. So if you just want to say I am Javier, for example, I would say yo soy Javier. Yo soy. Okay? Next, we have where are you from? Where are you from? ¿De dónde eres? ¿De dónde eres? Okay? You curious about someone? Where are you from? ¿De dónde eres? Very well. I am from, so maybe someone might ask you, ¿de dónde eres? Where are you from? And you say, yo soy de, and then you give the name of your country or your city. So, yo soy de, and then you say where you come from. Next, where do you live? Where do you live? ¿Dónde vives? ¿Dónde vives? And as you can see, where in Spanish is ¿dónde? ¿Dónde vives? Where do you live? And the response would be, I live in, yo vivo en, and you say either the name of the city or the name of the country. Yo vivo en. And then you give your response. Very well. How old are you? ¿Cuántos años tienes? So in Spanish, when you ask for the age, you're essentially translating it to how many years do you have? It's not how old. It doesn't translate directly, how old you are. Like it is asking you how many years do you have? So it's ¿cuántos años tienes? ¿Cuántos años tienes? And then you would give your reply. If you are 29, I am 29 years old. Yo tengo 29 años. Yo tengo, it means I have, then the number of years, 29, 29, and then you say the years, años. Yo tengo, how many years you have, and then años. Yo tengo 29 años. Okay, saying goodbye, right? After you've met people, it's time to say goodbye. You say adios. That's one of the most common words that you hear when people say goodbye. But also you hear ciao. Ciao. A similar version to the Italian ciao. In Spanish, we say ciao. That's but this is only for goodbye, okay? Ciao. Saying goodbye. So you can say adios or you can say ciao. You want to say see you later. See you later. We say hasta luego. Hasta luego. Hasta luego. See you later. Again, age is silent, right? We already know that by now. We'll see each other. We'll see each other. You don't know when. So you say nos vemos. Nos vemos. Now, you could say nos vemos mañana. Mañana means tomorrow. We'll see each other tomorrow. But if you don't know when you're going to see someone, then you could just say nos vemos. Okay. What about see you tomorrow? You can say hasta mañana. Hasta mañana. It could be until tomorrow, see you tomorrow. Hasta mañana. Okay? And here we have a nice day. Que tengas un buen día. Que tengas un buen día. Okay, it's a little bit longer, but when you break it down slowly, and again, when you are saying these words, because a lot of them are new to you, take your time, break down the syllables so you feel like you hear and you pronounce every letter. Because in Spanish, every letter is important and must be pronounced, okay? So you have to respect every letter in a sentence. So, have a nice day. Again, is que tengas un buen día. Que tengas un buen día. Okay, I have to go. Sometimes we're in a conversation and we have to get going, we have to leave. You can just say, me tengo que ir. Me tengo que ir. Me tengo que ir. Like you have to go, you have things to do. Okay? Now, you say take care. Saying goodbye. There's many different ways to say goodbye. One of them is take care. Cuídate. Cuídate. Okay? So you go cuídate. Cuídate. And you see there's a tilde here on the I because it's telling you that's where the accent must be felt. That's where you put the emphasis in the syllable. Cuídate. Okay? Now, we're going to end this lesson with a dialogue. So let's take a look here, putting together some of the things that we have gone through in this lesson. Okay, so I will read them, and in your mind, you can answer as well. but you can always come back here and take your time with each sentence. Okay, so person A says, Hola, ¿cómo te llamas? Person B responds, Hola, me llamo Ana. ¿Y tú? Person A says, Me llamo Carlos. Mucho gusto, Ana. Person B responds, Encantada conocerte. Encantada conocerte. Why did she say encantada? Because Ana is a woman, is a female. So she must say encantada. Okay? So then person A says or asks, ¿De dónde eres? ¿De dónde eres? And person B responds, Yo soy de los Estados Unidos. ¿Y tú? Person A responds, Yo soy de México. Person B responds, Carlos, me tengo que ir. Que tengas un buen día. Person A says, Gracias, Ana. Cuídate. And person B says, Adiós. Okay? So, a very simple dialogue. I did not translate it on purpose because I want you to start getting comfortable with the letters in Spanish and start to think about translating. All these words are in the lesson, so you can go back and see what they mean, or you can translate them. But this will help you speed up your process when you start to see the language in use. Okay, so that is all for lesson number 2, and I will see you on lesson number 3. Hasta luego.